Imagine being convicted of first-degree murder, not because you pulled the trigger, but simply because you were there. How is that even possible? Welcome back to Courtroom Clarity. Today, we're diving into a complex yet fascinating ruling from the California Supreme Court that reshapes what it means to be an accomplice to a crime. We're specifically talking about whether someone can be convicted of first-degree murder under the natural and probable consequences rule. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand how this decision can impact real-life cases and what it means for our justice system. Oh, and it might make you rethink ever being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Our story begins on a warm summer night in Sacramento. Treadway, a young man with dreams of a better future, found himself caught in the chaotic crossfire of a street fight between rival gangs. As tensions flared, fists flew, and insults were hurled, it was a scene fueled by adrenaline and anger. But then, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. In the heat of the moment, someone pulled out a gun, and just like that, a brawl turned deadly. Treadway was shot and killed, his life tragically cut short. But here's the kicker. The defendant, let's call him Mike, was not the one who pulled the trigger. Instead, Mike was convicted of first-degree murder as an accomplice. Prosecutors argued that even though he didn't fire the gun, he was still responsible for Treadway's death because it was a natural and probable consequence of the fight he helped initiate. Sounds straightforward, right? Well, not quite. Under California law, if you aid and abet a crime, you can be held accountable not just for the crime you intended to help with, but for any other crime that results if it's considered a natural and probable consequence. So, if you get into a fistfight and someone escalates it to a shooting, you could be charged with murder. Because it was, in legal terms, foreseeable. But what happens when the crime escalates all the way to first-degree murder? A crime that requires proof of premeditation. Is that really foreseeable for an accomplice? This is where it gets interesting. The California Supreme Court had to tackle this pressing question. Can an accomplice be convicted of first-degree murder under the natural and probable consequences rule if they didn't know the actual murder was premeditated? And here's the twist. The court said no. They ruled that first-degree murder, which involves a specific intent to kill and premeditation, is too personal and subjective to apply the natural and probable consequences rule. In other words, just because someone foresaw some kind of violence happening doesn't mean they could have foreseen a cold, calculated, premeditated murder. But not everyone on the bench agreed. Justice Kennard, for instance, expressed strong dissent, arguing that the majority went too far by ruling out first-degree murder entirely under this rule. She raised a compelling point. If an accomplice can foresee a killing happening, why should they get off easier if that killing ends up being premeditated? This dissent raises a critical question. Where do we draw the line between holding someone accountable for their involvement and punishing them for a crime they didn't actually foresee? This ruling could have real-world implications for gang-related crimes, street brawls, and any situation where violence escalates. Imagine being in a heated moment, feeling invincible, and suddenly, a fight spirals out of control. Prosecutors now have a narrower path when seeking first-degree murder charges for accomplices, making it harder to convict someone for an act they didn't directly commit. Defense attorneys might see this as a lifeline, a chance to push back against harsher penalties for their clients. So, what do you think? Should someone be charged with first-degree murder if they were just involved in the initial crime, but didn't know it would turn into a premeditated killing? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. This one's bound to get people talking. Thanks for tuning in to Courtroom Clarity. If you found this video informative, hit that like button, share it with a friend, and subscribe for more deep dives into important legal cases. Until next time, stay informed, stay curious, and stay aware.